is oh,
Hi, YouTube.
oh,
Also, can I piss off our platform right at the start?
yes.
Hey, YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
I don't appreciate going and watching, my historical food videos and being shown an ad that wants to tell me about, okay, and content warning for people, I'm going to just full out call out the transphobia here, an ad about how trans groomers are transing people's kids. Yeah, during Pride Month, to be direct people to a right-wing pundit spreading hate speech about trans people. No, but it did start with it. Yeah, I'm not gonna name him because I don't want to give him the attention. I'm just gonna say, hey, YouTube, I saw that.
Yes, fuck you, YouTube.
I can't do shit all about it because they're not gonna care.
Yeah, they're not gonna care.
I went to try to report it, and I went through very carefully, and I determined that by their policies, you can advertise that.
The PragerU gets advertised all the times. It was like one, and then they can do the full PragerU video as a 5-minute ad. You can skip it after 5 seconds though, but just like
an asshole doing something stupid with his guitar. I don't know. Guitarists can probably do something to Wi-Fi.
If it's my fault because I called out the platform right at the beginning.
Yes, Google destroyed my internet connection to fuck with you.
Oh yeah, don't apologize for that, Tabby. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely never apologize for that. Fuck Google and showing transphobic shit.
Yes, like I said, when I happen to have YouTube Premium, because when I have the YouTube app on my phone, I can then just listen to audiobooks or even like live streams like this and the background, and they'll have that feature on the YouTube like Premium service as well. Oh, but it also has the added benefit I don't get ads, because one time when I was about to watch like Steve Shots like Patreon and Hangouts, I was like, fucking hell. Dinesh D'Souza's film is being advertised on like YouTube. Of fucking course it is.
Is that No Intelligence Allowed?
Dinesh D'Souza was he's the guy that said, yeah.
I mean, I know who he is. I'm just wondering which one his film was, because there's so many stupid bullshit.
Death of the Nation, that's where it's the second one is where the one that was like a couple of years ago is where.
See, no, that was Ben Stein, Expelled, No Intelligence Allowed.
Yes, no, Ben Stein was the one that was like saying how creationists are not allowed in academia, as it were, and
it's not that they're not allowed; it's just that they don't make it in because they're fucking stupid.
I don't think that. I think creationism is the best thing that talks about God, because clear eyes. Wow.
And also
dinosaurs.
We wanted to making the argument that creationists aren't allowed in academia. There are how many Catholic owned and run or just broad?
Well, they're not young Earth creationists. They're old Earth creationists that acknowledge the truth of evolution as God's mechanism for doing the thing. They don't believe in literal actual magics except for this stuff with the crackers.
That's right, the transubstantiation.
You got to distinguish between your different kinds of magical bullshit, Tabby. Catholics aren't actually Christians because they worship the Pope.
Oh God, yeah, that's right.
This was part of the thing behind the whole Irish thing. No, actually.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah.
I mean, none of this shit matters anything to me.
Are we live on YouTube?
Yes, we are. Yes, we are live on YouTube.
So I don't know if I want to explain the thing that a friend of mine explained to me.
Well, so long as you don't.
Racism being done by a local police department, and it involves.
Go nuts! I mean, if we get banned, I'll just edit it slightly.
Well, it doesn't actually. Okay, it doesn't involve any of the usual slurs. Joey is here.
Hello, Joey. Connected to audio as it were. Don't worry, Joey. You will not because of you being here. We will not be kicked off of like YouTube. Like Tabby already took care of that before by just like saying "fuck you, YouTube" for like advertising transphobic crap as well during Pride of all things.
We started with flipping YouTube the bird.
Yes, exactly.
Because it's Pride Month, and yeah, fuck them.
We're already in wrath anyway, all of us queers anyway.
Oh yeah, we canceled Pride. We're just doing queer wrath now. That was decided like a few years ago.
Yes, it was.
I don't know how long ago.
Yes, it's because like, but also for many queers as well, it's the all year round. It's Sloth Month as well, just because of the bodies, the human bodies are just like need replacements and need upgrades from time to time. It'd be nice if we can have that for our disabled friends, and also for some of us, not all of us, some of us is always less month. It's just but again, not all of us, and that's okay too. Oh. Hey, how's everyone doing? How are you doing, Joey? Can we hear you?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Get some water while you scream into the microphone for 5 minutes.
I'm sorry.
I'm hanging in there. I've got my disability hearing is actually coming up, and so
Oh fuck.
I'm kind of, well, not kind of, I'm completely anxious about that. It's, you know, when you have anxiety that you deal with anyway on a daily basis, you compound that with like, it's not just the hearing coming up, it's also that you've got to battle your own, you know, inner demons, like trying to be ableist to yourself, you know, like there's just a lot of it, but it's coming up and it's going to be past soon, and as soon as it's done, I'm sure I'll feel a lot better.
Yeah. And Isaiah, you were just at a Model Train show, so
yeah. It's I like it. I've been going since 2016, and every year I just buy like different stuff. So when I get a bigger apartment, I can just like add it together and stuff.
that's cool. I'm going to be busy because I just realized I have not like promoted this show whatsoever. I mean, already been like live for like 30 minutes.
So, Mr. Joey Lamadier, you say you're disabled and yet you showed up here. Denied.
John, that sounds way too much like a disability judge.
What do you mean your name is Lame Deer? That's not a name.
What's an autism? I never heard of that before. Does that mean you gay or something? I don't know.
Oh God, I bet there are some people who are just like, what is it like? Some people who just like they don't know what this. That's right. Who was it that I was like talking to? Oh yeah, no, Linequin actually said on like one of their streams at one time that they had a psychiatrist who's like, well, I don't believe that's like trans stuff is real at all, but now I'm talking to you and like you definitely think like a woman. Yeah, they stopped going to that psychiatrist.
Yeah, I would
There
too.
are layers to that to unpack.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that's understandably why they don't trust the medical industry as well, and they're also disabled too. Head injury, DID. They talked about this like on their stream and on our stream before, and so and yeah, they still are struggling to get on disability too. So it's just like, yay. And then the anxiety of that and the internalized capitalism of like the self-worth that you kind of like hate on yourself because like you cannot provide for yourself or your partner and have to like struggle to get by, beg, and essentially to do things, or then it feel like you need to push yourself in order to like stream to like, you know, get to payout and all this other things, and then like when you don't, it feels that hard on you. It's just like disabled system of capitalism.
Yeah.
Fucking bullshit.
So I'm eating a pizza right now. I'm sorry.
You're
okay.
not sorry. Don't lie. You're enjoying that pizza.
I mean,
I had someone on Instagram was like complaining that there's too much mental health awareness.
there's not enough, honestly. that person's just uncomfortable that like people are talking about their mental illnesses and they're projecting, as it were,
Well,
because they
this
feel
person was
bad.
also a Trump supporter too, so
Okay, so then don't listen to that person to begin with, but yeah.
Yeah, they don't want to be told to feel bad about causing other
Not
people
saying.
trauma.
Oh, okay.
So, of course, they don't want to hear about mental health.
I don't mind telling people that I have mental issues. I think everyone has mental issues.
Especially white people. Oh, sorry. Especially marshmallow fluff. Not allowed to say
Because if
white
you
people.
if you live in this country and it's that keeping up with the Joneses bullshit, you got something else shit going on.
And besides John Brockman, we call them male sapiens. That's what we call white people here.
Didn't
Uh,
we vote to cancel whiteness or something?
Yes, I say we ban whiteness as a word. Just like white people are canceled as a word.
We just not get enough
I
votes
don't want
to.
whiteness. Who am I gonna marry?
Avril Lavigne. But she won't be white anymore. She'll be mayo.
Canadian.
She's
French.
She'll be poutine.
There's poutine and there's poontang. Which one is it?
Okay, you decided
That's
to
a
take
black
it.
word.
Actually, it's probably secretly Native American or French.
Avril Lavigne is Avril Lavigne, and she's singing a song about like things being so complicated. It was just kind of finished.
And skating.
So
I saw that thing on Reddit, and thanks to the weird mechanical voiceover. This is about specifically why I mentioned Joey in the chat. The mechanical voiceover, I thought it was something from like the 19th century being played over a modern day protest. But no, it happened in March.
Yep.
Some hotel owner said that they were banning Native Americans because they couldn't tell the good ones from the bad ones.
Yep.
That sounds terrible.
And she was later arrested for assaulting the native protesters with a cleaning solution.
Tell me it wasn't bleach. Was he trying to bleach them?
I didn't find other articles.
Yeah, this is something that like even like Taffy and I kind of like miss. So this is where Taffy, you were reading about like other protests, like the immigration protests for immigration rights, as it were. And then hello, Groundhog, who floats into the chat. And there was like Proud Boys that were like assaulting the immigration protesters, as were with a can of Raid. And you and I just like thought it's like, okay, yeah, that's like, oh yeah, the chemicals, that makes sense, kind of like mace, but it's like nastier. But our friend, our friend Nas Neko was in the chat and said, and this is all that I need to know to like get the connection. It's like there's a reason they chose Raid when spraying immigration protesters, as it were. And it's like, oh.
Yeah, people have always associated people they don't like with vermin, especially minorities.
And that's a radical Blake. And yeah, bleach is bad. And it's like, if it's a cleaning solution, if it's bleach, it's like, did they deliberately chose that those cleaning solutions for like that symbolism, as it were?
They might have just chosen it because it's, toxic and caustic, and they wanted to injure people who were destroying their business because they're racist pieces of shit.
Yeah. And it's just like, oh my god, it's like, so that's just like, yeah, I guess just goes so sometimes they'll still get this as well. Oh come on, that was so long ago. It's just like, yeah, but some of the shit is still happening today, as it were. So that's why we gotta talk about that.
Yep.
It's yeah.
Well,
White people. Go ahead, Dazia.
we got rid of Roe, so I hope we vote in November. Hope we vote. But think about America.
I think a lot of liberals will be motivated to vote. I think a lot of Republicans will not. They've lost their key wedge issue, and now Clarence Thomas has signaled what they're going after next, which is Griswold v. Connecticut and all the other ones that make it possible to live a normal life. The only one he didn't signal they were going after was Loving versus Virginia.
For obvious reasons.
Yes. For those who don't think it's obvious, it's because Loving v. Virginia is the one that made it so that you're not allowed to criminalize interracial marriage, and Clarence Thomas is secretly white, but he's married to a white woman.
He is white. I can stand where he's white.
Is what some people call Clarence Thomas a Oreo, black on the outside but white on the inside.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think he's actually just white and taking pills to make himself look black.
I usually just stay away from all that, and I just say you don't have to be white to support white supremacy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Or as Phoenix, our friend who I ask every time, give Phoenix money. I'll get their GoFundMe soon up in the chat box in Traded Links page. But they said too about that guy T, this anarcho-capitalist online, so that tells you enough already, as it were. I think he also said anarcho-fascism or something like that. I forgot it, but basically to Phoenix.
Wait, what?
Yeah. It doesn't make sense.
Now I know I heard what I heard.
Yes.
Okay, moving on.
So she thinks what happened to that guy T, who is a black man, as it were. What happened to the characters in Get Out?
I've not seen.
Oh, sure. That's unfortunately
I haven't seen that either.
Oh my God.
I don't know. It's. I mean, I haven't seen it either, but I know everything about it because everybody's talked about it so much. I don't know.
What is Get Out? Is it like a show?
It's a movie by Jordan Peele. Black guy with a white girlfriend goes to visit her family in Connecticut. Mind control stuff happens.
I guess do you mind spoilers for that excellent movie, because it's part of the twist at the end of the movie? So
I don't watch a lot of movies, so I don't mind.
Go for it.
Okay, basically the girlfriend picked the black character. Forgot the actor's name, Daniel something. He was also in Black Panther. Because the white people, the liberal white people, they would have voted for Obama for a third term if they could.
Mm-hmm. They're selling slaves.
Basically, yeah. The white people get their brains transported into the bodies of a black person.
What?
Yes.
And showing about the myth of the model minority, an Asian family partakes in this too.
Yes. Renegade Cut did an excellent video about that. I'll link that into the description. And still a great movie if you can stomach horror movies, as it were. But he is a white privilege and fragility in Get Out, as it were. And that's why many think that Get Out did not win Best Picture that year. It was A Shape of Water, Guillermo del Toro's movie that won Best Picture. Jordan Peele got Best Director though, so there's that.
And also the fact that it was a horror movie.
I think there's a message I'm missing from just the little bit of synopsis.
They're literally taking over and using black bodies.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Commodifying them in the worst possible way.
Fetishizes them in the worst possible way too.
Yeah, because the daughter literally brings him in by seducing him.
Yes.
Okay. Now I've got the context more in line with the earlier conversation. It was just that a lot of things, small amount of context.
Yeah.
It's still a great movie, but you can watch Renegade Cuts a video on that talks about the right privilege and fragility and that obsession of black people, but from the liberal context, which is why it didn't win Best Picture, because who is the voting body of the
Harvey Weinstein?
Well, there's also that. But they did not want it, because when they saw Get Out, if they have any conscience or any can read text, as it were, or subtext, they're like, I'm the bad guy, and they hate that feeling, so that's why they didn't vote Get Out to be like the best picture. Shape of Water, they can at least identify, I'm that person as the good guy in that movie, because the bad guy in The Shape of Water was the conservative patriarchal like man of the house, as were in Michael Shannon. That's the actor's name, who was like great in Shape of Water, and that was a fantastic movie too. I love that movie as well by Guillermo del Toro. I mean, he did not make the second Pacific Rim movie to make that one, and I'm fine with that. I also kind of like the second Pacific Rim movie. Not as good the first Pacific Rim movie though, but like
I like the 1990 Godzilla movie, but a lot of people hate it.
Roland Emmerich is an interesting director. He's very well known though. The disaster, as it were, and that's what Godzilla was in the 1998 movie, as were. He just took a monster movie but made it a disaster movie, with the monster being the disaster, which is why Godzilla did not show up until like 45 minutes or like later in the movie, as it were. And that's some people's disappointments, because they were expecting a Godzilla movie. It was literally called Godzilla, and so they were.
And so they got a Roland Emmerich movie.
And they got a Roland Emmerich movie, and it's just like that one was fine, but I didn't like it. I like Stargate though; that was decent, and like I did like the first Independence Day. Second Independence Day sucked though. It absolutely.
That one was garbage.
That one was garbage. However,
the only good sequel. There's two good sequels out there: Godfather 2 and Paddington 2.
Sorry to interrupt though, but
sure.
If any of you guys are boycotting, and I'm sure all of us are, especially Joey, if any of you guys are boycotting the 4th of July, you can watch Independence Day instead. It's a
it shows colonization from the brown person's perspective, but puts it in the mouth of white people and Will Smith.
Okay. Well, it's a movie to watch, so yeah.
It's fun. It's a lot of fun.
I watched Independence Day. It's a pretty good movie.
Fun popcorn movie for sure. Yes.
Even though it has the crazy Republican guy as the crazy UFO guy, pilot guy.
Oh, Randy Quaid.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot about this politics. It's
very easy to do so because he's a very easy person to forget.
Dr. Strangelove too.
I got the comic for it.
Oh, the comics, I think, and some side projects are interesting, because in the second movie they mentioned how there was like one UFO that like landed in like the Central Africa, where I think the Congo, and like unfortunately the Congolese, because of colonialism, of course, didn't have like the advanced weaponry of the like jets to be able to combat like the air spaceship. So they mentioned this in the second movie of how like they people like fought the aliens like with primitive weapons, as it were, like swords, traditional weapons, as it were, and managed to win. And I'm like, can I see that movie, please? Can I see that movie? That's much more interesting, as it were.
Don't think Randy Quaid was in. No, he was not in Doctor Strangelove, unless it was an uncredited thing.
He was in he's in the National Lampoon movies.
He is. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that cousin. I only saw the first one though. I haven't seen like a Christmas like a Vacation, which is I heard like a good Christmas movie.
It's better than Home Alone, I've heard.
I like Home Alone. I like the first one.
Home Alone is a lot of fun and doesn't have Chevy Chase.
I forgot of why I should like not care for Chevy Chase, as it were.
He's a dick.
I can believe that.
And kind of racist.
I can believe that too. To be fair though, like Latrano says, who's like sadly is not here because like life has been like hard on her. Please like send thoughts and kind feelings to like Latrano, because like she has,
and maybe money if you can,
and money if you can. Yeah. I think her like links are PayPal is still in the description, but down below, but also it's in the charity links off page. But like yeah, she's like not doing well because she found out that she has type 2 diabetes on top of everything else. But anyway, so that's why she hasn't been like here. Mehmet, it's also like it's been hard for him too, just like life, as like a Marvin from like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy would say, life, don't talk to me about life, as it were.
Poor Marvin.
Poor Marvin, yes. I just want you all to know that I'm incredibly depressed. Okay, mood. That's a mood for all of us.
All the diodes down my left side.
I'm
I'm deliberately sounding like Eeyore because I can't do Marvin.
Don't worry, Marvin. Don't worry, Marvin. I'll give you a task to like take your mind off of it. It won't work. I have a rather large mind.
I've been called Eeyore before because I guess I'm so like I can be like very pessimistic sometimes. So
Yeah.
And I would have talked about it last week, but I just watched Christopher Robin.
I actually like that movie.
I really liked it too. Yeah, but don't watch Paddington, Paddington 2, and Christopher Robin back to back. You'll be dangerously dehydrated.
Oh, that's a trilogy. Did you watch Crazy of the Firefly right afterwards?
No, I did not. I'm not that sadistic.
It's still weird how Graves of the Firefly was meant as a double feature with My Neighbor Totoro. Unless it's like Graves of the Firefly first and then My Neighbor Totoro. They were released in the same year, so that's why they were back to back. So let's see. The people are talking about like sequels. Oh, Radical Bacon's birthday is like July the 4th, so celebrate Radical Bacon's like
there
birthday.
You go. It's Bacon Day. And you can go around saying it's Bacon Day, and the normies will never know.
Yes, exactly. Yes, hydrate, stay hydrated, everyone.
Can it be celebrate the fact that I actually made sure that I have good sensory supports for my hyperacusis day?
Fucking
sure.
Because yeah, this is probably what I'm going to be wearing most of that evening. Because
God, Sasha's going to be miserable.
We
Sasha is a scaredy cat, absolutely hates anything, and people like to light off fireworks here for no fucking reason.
Oh, poor Sasha. Yeah, people watching, check on your pets and bring your dogs indoors, and remember, fireworks can scare pets away. It's bad.
Check on all those people who are suffering from PTSD as well, and that being the trigger for them as well.
I don't use fireworks as much as I used to. Now that you mention it.
I stopped doing fireworks for a long time, and it's just like
I love the sights and I hate the sounds.
Yes, exactly. So if I'm far away or watching it on television, then yeah, that's fine. It's a word. I don't mind the spectacle. Absolutely, but just
I helped shoot a fireworks show once.
Nice. But just like it's like, and for me personally, I just like. The apartments technically have like a rule, and it's technically against the law in our city, but like right across the street is like it's not against the law. No, wait, or is it the other way around where you cannot buy fireworks in like that city, but you can in this city? It's weird because I
live in South Carolina. I tell you what.
These are red-blooded Americans you're talking about. You think a bunch of laws are going to stop them from blowing shit up to the detriment of their neighbors?
No, that's not people. The people will. It's against the apartment's rules of like lighting fireworks in the parking lot. Here they to send out an email to remind people each year. It's not going to stop people from doing it though. And even with the switch of management is we're no longer blah 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 company that's owned these apartments, and now blah 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 company that's owned these apartments. But like that, there's like that office. I don't know how many people work there now, but like of course.
Do you secretly live in my apartment complex?
Okay, we know we just describe it like most everyone else's apartments complex, unless they have actual slumlords, as it were.
They're all slumlords.
No, true, they are. It's just like some of them have like fancy offices and like way back wherever like the headquarters of like the conglomerate is, as it were. There's good movie
here too, where they would switch management, and then the new management comes in. They're just awful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good luck to like getting like them to respond to like everything is where I realize I've like promoted this show in all the Discord servers, but not on Twitter or like Facebook. So I'll do that now.
That one social media site that I really haven't touched in months, and that other social media site that I try to forget exists.
Well, I mean, the other social media site is a hell of a lot better since they kicked the stupid fascist off it. I mean, they kept every other fascist in the world on there.
Oh, right. Twitter kept off some fascists, but not every fascist, as were.
Whatever happened to Elon Musk trying to buy it?
He wasn't going to get control over Twitter. That's how I think. That's why that's like fell through. I don't think it finalized.
I mean, if it were to fall through, he would still have to pay them $1 billion.
Yeah, exactly. It's for that deal.
So I think he would try really, really hard to get complete control. And even if he couldn't, he would buy not majority, but a significant shareholder, just so that he would not be completely pointlessly out of. Oh, wait, no, now I remember why it hasn't gone through. Whatchamacallit. Because his shareholders are suing him.
Yeah, there was something about that.
The
though.
Twitter
Yeah.
shareholders are suing him because by selling off all of his stock and making himself a laughing stock, he has severely tanked Tesla stock, and he has a fiduciary interest to maintain stock value for the shareholders.
Yes.
So they're suing him over that.
I'm still calling him Emerald Mine Baby.
Oh,
Yes.
I
Emerald.
wrote a song about Elon Musk based on Elton John's "Leave On."
Oh God.
Elon sends his finest to town.
His finest isn't very good.
They just tried after. I had the lyrics made. I just gotta think of them.
Yeah. You know what, Joey, we had you on last year around the 4th of July because of like that rally that happened outside of like the Black Hills, as it were, Mount Rushmore, something like that. Have you heard any like well, I bet like your
Is that
people
an annual thing?
I don't know. I kind of hope it's going to be an annual thing, that they're going to shut the freaking road down every year. I think the biggest reason they did it last year was because Trump was supposed to be there.
What are we talking
And
about?
it was going to get a lot of attention.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so that was the biggest reason that they were going to shut it down then. So
okay, yeah. So there's not like an annual thing of like always like, well, maybe there's like some firework things that for the white people to like celebrate creation of the country. That like there's a whole history behind like the creation of our country, of course, that we don't talk about or it's not educated to like white people. So we're that's a whole thing too. But last year it was a bigger thing because Trump showed up and was like, yeah, he wanted like it was a manifest destiny. He wanted to talk about that, as it were, of course.
Yep. And that is what he talked about too. I mean, not in so many words, but basically.
Yes. Well, he wanted to create this 1776 project that was like in reaction to the 1609. Yeah, I forgot the year, 1609, I think, or
1619.
1619. That's it. Like the 1619 project, which is like because it was 1619, the first like enslaved African like came to like the shores of like Turtle Island, as it were, and so that was the beginning of like slavery on this continent by the white colonizers, as it were.
No, the Native Americans practiced slavery. It was the exact same kind of slavery. It was real. I'm not making this up. I do know what I'm talking about. I'm not repeating white supremacist lies. Shut up. You shut up. No, you shut up. You're not my real dad.
As Joey has already said, yes, but it's the number of tribes that had slavery you can count on one hand. And it's like, and there's thousands of different tribes on Turtle Island, as it were. So
and the rest of the thousands of tribes also called those particular ones evil.
Yeah, exactly. And many like indigenous tribes like welcome in the runaway slaves and the runaway white kids too.
And then the white people demanded their white children back, and then the white children ran away because they liked it better.
Yes.
And they're also not the ones still, using a private prison system to maintain the institution of slavery. I'm sorry, not
exactly
slavery. They're what the fuck do they even call it now?
Corporal punishments.
It's called paying your way because they're being given free room and board by the state. Duh, they owe it.
Is a rehabilitation, as it were, which they're not really doing that, as it were. It's retributive anyway.
It's paying your debt to society. It's
punishment.
Rehabilitation. It's learning new skills.
It's because like the 13th Amendment
job training.
Job training, like God. But yet, even with like the training they get, they do not actually like can get jobs anywhere with that training, as were, unless
because they have to check the box that says you've been convicted of a felony.
Yes, and have to explain that as well. Or sometimes, and sometimes, so like for prior employment as well, they have to like cleverly tell them that like what their prior employment history was working for the state of California.
Mm-hmm.
Without going into details that they were a prison, they're working to make whatever they were making in the prison labor as well, or be firefighters to fight the forest fires and can't get jobs as firefighters later on.
Mm-hmm.
I thought California changed that for the firefighters.
They did, but
They probably did.
There were a lot of
like,
limitations.
are they going to actually follow through on that?
I mean, I'd like to see them change a whole lot of things about the penal system.
I would like to see them abolish the penal system.
Yeah, it's kind of like and this kind of come up in like the Siege Patreon hangout too. But it's more about talking about the police, as where they more want to like defund the police. I say it's like, yeah, defund first as a first step, as one of the 8 steps towards abolishing them, as it were. Some people still not on board abolishing them, or said like, no, we're not to that step yet, or just like, oh, that's I have unrealistic standards. Blah, talking to liberals, sometimes fun. But like, so yeah, a lot has to change to like be able to fully abolish prisons as well as like decriminalize a whole bunch of things: sex work, drug use, and that's the drug use thing. Biden now, with a stroke of the pen, and it won't be a controversial decision either, can declassify weed and pot easily. And so that's no longer like
a Schedule 1 narcotic. What the fuck?
Yes, he can easily do that. And since it's already like legal,
even red states are passing legalization.
Yes.
I mean, come on.
Well, he can. The Republicans won't care because there's always been a huge sect of the Republicans that
it's a way for white people to start making money.
Yeah, yes, there's that too. But it's also the libertarians who just like, don't tread on me. This is like my personal liberty to be able to smoke pot, but also so that like big weed can come in and just make money, as it were. But it's just like cops don't like that, so that's why Biden probably won't do that, as I said before, and said several times before. But like, it's a whole project of like abolishing prisons and abolishing police, because like in the book End of Policing, the author talked about this on like Corey Johnson's podcast, The Mind of Skeptical Leftist, is that like the local cities have just pretty much given up on like trying to solve homelessness. Is where how you solve it.
Well, I mean, some have decided to solve homelessness by shipping the homeless elsewhere.
Kicking the can down the road, or is handing off to someone else's problem, which is what like the United States do constantly, as were like with garbage, as were they tried to ship their garbage to someone else. At least one city did. Hey, can you take this garbage? No. Can you take this garbage? No. Can you take this garbage? No. Okay, fine. We have to place this garbage here. Unfortunately, many people do it to indigenous people, or that's why it's like, there are pipelines going through here. No, you don't get a say. Tell me, okay, so where was I going with that? Damn it. Abolishing persons, abolishing the police, decriminalizing things, decriminalize a lot of things. Stop criminalizing poverty, for one thing, but like capitalism. So we're going to have like solve capitalism. Hello there.
I think something about Rushmore, Twitter,
the Black Hill.
Who knows?
Give the Black Hills back to the Dakota people, please. Land back. That's another huge project.
Maybe we could stop the ongoing genocide of indigenous people.
What would that look like, handing the Black Hills over to like the Lakota? What would that look like?
Well, they're currently a national park, so we'd say, here you go, it's yours again.
Yeah. I think
most of it is still held in federal hands right now. I mean, the Black Hills, it wouldn't be that difficult for them to just hand over control and the deed.
There's a heck ton of land that is just federal land that could just be straight up handed over and land back stuff.
Will you guys just let Mount Rushmore just like stay there, or would you just let it just deteriorate from natural causes?
Let it deteriorate would be my guess. Which wouldn't take long. I mean, they spend a lot of money every year to upkeep that mountain to keep it from cracking.
So hey, no longer spending the money to
Well,
like.
if they didn't want it to crack, they should have used like black marble or something.
What?
Black
I
don't
missed-
crack.
You got it. You got it. Fuck you, dude. Just kidding.
I don't always understand everything.
Yeah, no,
so
that
sometimes.
was a couple of levels deep.
No, well, Tabby, they were saying how handsome I am because
Yes.
black don't crack.
I mean, you are very handsome, Isaiah. That is
It's just the stereotype.
that
Black
is
people
just
don't age the same way white
apparent.
people do. So.
Well, thank you, Tabby.
You're welcome.
But also, I like the idea of like the white supremacists of like those American presidents being black.
Mhm.
But then again, would that be blackface though?
Yeah.
Yes.
But,
Were we talking about taking Mount Rushmore and making those presidents black?
And using black marble because black don't crack.
mm.
My train of thought with it.
I lean towards yes.
Yeah.
My immediate reaction is no.
Yeah, exactly.
But out of curiosity, how many presidents do you think weren't white supremacists? I'd be willing to hear an argument that maybe Teddy Roosevelt wasn't.
I would say maybe Bill Clinton wasn't.
No, Teddy Roosevelt, he was pretty famous for his hatred of Native Americans. He had one of those love-hate relationships with Native Americans where he romanticized them on one hand
and genocided them on another.
Yeah, and on the other hand, just, I mean, he was one of the people who said the only good one is a dead one.
Isn't he part of
He did try to end slavery. He failed.
I would say, what about JFK? Was he? I don't think he was a white supremacist, was he?
I don't
Probably not.
know on the basis of I don't know enough of his.
I'm trying to remember what he did in
history.
Vietnam.
Well, because that's the thing is that even if I think of like a Jimmy Carter, if he's a white supremacist,
your issue becomes a case can be made because of the way that the country was founded.
Exactly.
That every single president.
That's my argument.
No matter what their personal viewpoint is.
Exactly.
Basically, it's ACAB, but for presidents.
Yeah. Yes.
ACAB.
Exactly.
Oh yeah. APAB. Yeah. Exactly. Because like Jimmy Stewart. No, not Jimmy Stewart.
Jimmy Stewart was a Klansman.
I mean, Jimmy Stewart might be a white supremacist too. I don't know that Jimmy Stewart's like personal beliefs and stuff like that, but it's totally possible. But like Jimmy Carter, yes, he did some good things, but I know of all the terrible things that he also did because, again, being the president, you're a part of a you're the head of a settler colonialist imperialist nation, as it were.
Exactly.
You guys hate Jimmy Carter too?
Jim Carter has this like basically
he did a couple of coups d'etats.
Oh yeah, like most American presidents have done in the past, in like 100 years or so.
150 years, but yeah.
150 years, yeah.
I mean, he did some good stuff too, but and that's the problem with every single president that you start listing.
He was pretty good.
You can list some exactly. You got to put a little asterisk by their name.
Every single president has a couple of little atrocities and overthrown governments to his name.
Yeah, especially when you start looking at imperialism in Central and South America in particular.
Africa, Asia. The IMF and the World Monetary Fund are basically
the way that they have all dealt with the Middle East.
Didn't Obama turn a blind eye to the way U.S. military were treating protesters at Standing Rock?
Yep, he did.
Yeah, that started with Obama.
Because you can't have a beer with 1,500 angry protesters.
Oh God,
Especially
I
when they don't
remember
drink.
that stunt, that publicity stunt.
Yeah, that's right. You can have a beer with Obama because that's why all those white people or people voted for George W. Jr. I feel like I can have a beer with him. So then Obama said,
"Well, of course you can have a beer with him. He's always having a beer. Motherfucker's a fucking alcoholic."
When you brought that up, I was thinking of the so-called beer summit
Henry
Oh,
Louis Gates
yeah.
and the cop who arrested him for trying to break into his own home.
And then
Wow.
I'm surprised I
hey, we're
remember
going
the
to
guy's
invite them
name.
both
But
over to the White House, and they're going to have a beer. And hey, look, racial profiling is over.
it's Crash, the presidency.
I liked that movie when I first watched it, but then I was not critical of liberalism then. So, and
There's
that,
no way
that
on earth I could go back and watch The West Wing today.
yeah, oh, fuck
I don't know
no.
how the Renegade Cut did it. I mean,
Oh yeah, Renegade Cut didn't watch all of like the things, but yeah, like Obama too. Yeah, he is a black person, as we're half black though. Oh,
no,
but like
one drop. That's how it works.
exactly. But like he was the deporter in chief, deported like millions of like people, and they also did a thing where it's just like they drive to the middle of somewhere as we're open the car door and like there you go, and then drive off, and it's just like I'm from Honduras. That was escaping from. Why do you put me in Mexico?
It's the same thing, man. Y'all speak Mexicoan.
But like Biden has done similar things where it's just like again back when like there was the debate of like that border officer was not whipping those people. It's like no, he was. It's like that's not a whip. That's reins for the. It doesn't matter.
It's 3 feet of fucking hard leather, you piece of shit.
As those Haitians that like were then like had to like hide underneath like a part of a bridge for cover as it were while they're waiting for their like papers to go through or for their times in the court to like say I'm a refugee, I'm a asylum seeker, here's my case, I'm escaping Haiti as where why, and they have often gone all the way to like Chile or into Argentina and go there and then migrate up to the United States to seek asylum to there, so they go through all that journey and then get whipped at the border, and then what they do or put on a plane and fly back to Haiti and
To await
drop off
trial.
to await for trial.
Argentina had a lot of Nazis.
Oh, yeah.
Nazis.
Spanish Catholics smuggled a lot of people. They were called the rat lines, providing false papers.
There's
for
white
Nazi
people
officers.
all the way down through Central and South America. I mean, because colonizers.
Yep. Yes.
Like,
there's
black people too because slavery.
Yes, exactly.
Like,
according to my friend Buddy, well, his name is actually John. We called him Buddy. Puerto Ricans, he said, were legally 1/3 black, 1/3 Latino, 1/3 white.
And Puerto Ricans often still get like the thing is like, yeah, she immigrated from Puerto Rico. Yeah, he immigrated from Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico is a U.S. Commonwealth. They're U.S. citizens. They're not.
Somebody should talk to the president of Puerto Rico.
Are we talking about oil?
And the shit I used to hear all the fucking time when I used to work in what is it? Security at a high rise in Newark, New Jersey, where a couple of my coworkers were also Puerto Rican. And I remember at one point I had a guy going and wanting to tell me this whole story about moving and hiring some Puerto Rican people and then threatening them with a gun because he thought he was stealing, and then being like, well you got to understand, stealing is in their culture. I'm like, oh God.
Jesus Christ.
And like that was the first time I had heard of that thing, and then later I was talking.
See, he's confusing them with gypsies.
I was talking with
that's a slur.
Yes, that's why.
Puerto Rican trans man that I met through kink circles, and he explained like stories about going, like when he was in high school, going to when he was high school age, going to the guidance counselor, for usual stuff, and then being asked by the guidance counselor on the way out, well, did you steal anything?
The fuck? Like from the guidance counselor?
Yeah, like the guy, like the guidance counselor was assuming, because my friend's Puerto Rican trans man, that you're Puerto Rican, so you must automatically like throughout like New England area. That's I have never
encountered this.
I just don't interact with enough different assholes, but apparently that's like a big racist trope that they
Yes.
believe that
Yeah, it
about
is.
people from Puerto Rico.
I have
It's
never
not
heard
surprising.
that.
Specifically that.
I've never heard that before, but that's not
Yeah.
surprising.
Hmm. I mean, I used to talk to conservatives. I was regularly in their Twitter DM group with like them because they like it was like no, you're wrong, don't make me. And sure, we actually did have the discussions on like his like YouTube channel as it were, and a few of them I eventually stopped going once like my one of my friends was like had racism thrown directly at them, and the rest of the group was just like, it's not racism, it's just like, oh, fuck you all. And or transphobic memes that they shared all the time, which is why I left that group too. Is like literally when I was like questioning my gender, someone said, but there are only two genders. Fuck you. Anyway, that's why I no longer talk to those people. But they have frequently said, the conservatives have frequently said this, saying, come on, America is the best culture as our period, best like society and all the other societies. And yeah, if I immediately point out that's white supremacists, and they'll be go, oh, you like leftists are all the same. Oh, it's like blaming this is white supremacist, this is fascist, and this is fascist. Like, and it's
No. You are. Just you.
oh yeah, I'm the real fascist for calling you fascist.
No. I'm saying you're saying to them. No, it's just
Oh
you.
yeah. Oh god. So yeah. I just reminded going to find like the web archive of it as it were, but like I'll post the Seattle Times link at it right now. But speaking of issues as were, I kind of did the thing where I figure out whose land I'm on part, and I mentioned this before. I'm on Duma Wash's land, and this is also I've already mentioned before. The name Seattle came from the chief at that time in 1850 or around that time is where that was her name. She's Chief Seattle, as it were. Seattle was named after it, as it were.
It was a it was a she. I'm just curious.
Yeah, I think it was like matriarch society as well. But again, like David Graeber, David Grove talked about the like Dom and everything, and Joe, you can correct me on this as where is that like many indigenous societies, yeah, they have chiefs, but they're like more plate chiefs. They're kind of still like make decisions like consensus buoy or like councils as were. It's not like I'm the chief and you all do what I say, because actually many times
Yeah, it wasn't a king like a king.
Yes.
Like it wasn't like that for any.
It was more the guy, the chairman of the board, or chairman of the council. Sort of.
It's more the wise man sort of thing, or a wise person you see council
kinda.
for. Mm-hmm.
And usually there's a like if you were to look at the way that Lakota were governing themselves, we had chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
And there were different kinds of chiefs. There were war chiefs, there were political chiefs, there were chiefs that they were more for the organizing and day-to-day like working parties and stuff like that. I mean, there was just different people did different things and they all got called chiefs.
That makes sense. Yeah.
It's almost sounding like not to just pin it with equating it with something because that wouldn't work, but it's almost sounding like heads of committees.
Yeah, kind of.
Chair.
And then you've got the big major governing body was the what they called the Council of Eagles, the elders of the Lakota Nation.
Okay, now you're just stealing shit from America. Okay.
They were a big governing body, and they were all the eldest people of and usually women.
Yeah.
Not men. I mean, because men they don't live that long. So by the time you get to be
and they're hairy and smelly, you don't want to be in a room.
By the time you've got a population where you're talking about elders and you're putting them in quotation marks because they're all like menopausal stage, you're talking people who are in their mid to late 40s and older. When you're starting to talk about that population and a natural population like Lakota, where there isn't, hospital care and stuff like that, you're talking about the older people get, the less men there are alive per women. And the more women you have. And so by the time you get to the group that's like 80 something, 80 plus, it's almost exclusively women.
Mm. Yeah, that makes
Because
sense.
most men have not lived to be that age. I mean, that's just how human beings work.
Yeah, testosterone is a mild poison.
I can see that. But yeah, like yeah, Seattle got named after the chief of the Dumo Wash. I think that's how it's pronounced it. And to this day, in fact, the Seattle Times article I shared, the Dumo Wash, and like in fact, the title is like the Dumo Wash tribe files lawsuit in bid for like federal recognition. They're still not recognized as a tribe, as a word federally, the government.
Well, you showed up in court, so you're probably not really a Native American. Only white people do that, unless it's a criminal trial and you're the defendant.
And sometimes people would look at people as like, "Are you really indigenous?" As it were, it's like, please, people, just like, it's like, yes, you can like question like Elizabeth Warren as it were, which actually she was like touted as like a diversity hire in some cases as it were, and it's just like, yes, everyone else have this like the distant relative and legend as it were. I at least can like point to like, no, this great aunt of mine is Potawatomi as it were. However, never had any connection with the culture of the Potawatomi at all. I can research it on my own, but I'm not going to claim myself as being
my great grandfather was white.
I mean, I can like claim ownership of like being part of the Scott clans because like Scott's my last name, and my dad did research. Is like, no, the connection of the Scott family came from the actual Scott clan, as it were, and I can and honestly feel more tuned to that as it were, but like still never been to Scotland as it were, and so but like the Doom Watch is still like trying to like recognize as for like federal recognition, and that's part of a whole host of things as well. Where it's just like, how about all those treaties that we were all forced to sign way back when by the white people? How about we honor those? Because just look at the Wikipedia article of the Doom Watch tribe. My damn. Fuck, and is where, oh no, we're taking this land, you're going over here. Oh yeah, you don't interact with that other tribe too, but you're forced together as we're deal with it, and then like no, whatever happens.
The point
there,
was
like,
to give them all the worst land so that they would die.
Yes,
Yep.
and many refuse not to die, and kudos to them for that, because like yeah, just gumption is word and survival. But it's like so that's
Pulled themselves up by
Well,
their
it was the
bootstraps.
mean ones. That's the issue with like with every population that gets targeted. Like you talking about like the LGBTQ plus community, for example. The people who are soft and nice and just easygoing people, they're the ones who end up dying young, killing themselves. And so the older you get, the more you've got these crusty, mean, nasty, rotten people are the ones that are left alive. Those are the ones that survive. They were too mean to die.
Yeah. Which
I guess
reminds
me sometimes, because I've been through a lot in my life, so
I hate to break it to you, but you are not mean.
I mean, Isaiah, I think when you're venting and anger about like the systematic repressions that's like happening, and like your situation of how you had to like work at a terrible job you hate and not love in order to just survive, something like that. When you're venting like that, some privileged people might hear that and don't like hearing that and be thinking, oh yeah, why do you have to be so mean, as it were? Oh, Tavi, this is a conversation we had like a bunch of times with like Nasa Neko, how it's like when people ask, how are you doing? Nasa Neko with her like autistic mind is where it just like think, oh, you really want to know how I'm feeling today? Well,
yes.
This, and this, and this, and oh, you were just being.
I'm in pain. It's like I'm in pain. I'm suffering. It's like things are not going well. My life is on fire.
But the thing is, with a lot of those conversations, a lot of the people who are asking Marisol, the people who Marisol is asking how people are doing, are also autistic. So the answer of, do you actually sincerely want to know how I'm doing, really and honestly, is actually yes.
Yes, but she has described this on her Twitch channel. That's like that like she can visibly see it's in real life. So again, with like us or like other like for her friends online, she knows that like no, we really want to know how you're doing and like we sympathize when you're in pain. But like she has like seen physically on people's faces. Oh, I didn't actually want to know that. I just was like making small talk, as it were.
I never understood that when I was younger. Actually, I didn't really. You know
Why
how
would you ask somebody and then roll your eyes?
Yeah.
Why would you
Or-
do that?
Or be uncomfortable with the honest answer.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, don't ask then. Just say, hey. Don't
This-
say, how are you?
As I've gotten in the habit of doing this, as we're like, or the the radio host Tom Leggett. Oh, he's a misogynist. He's a terrible person. But like when people said,
Let me guess, drive time in the morning during your commute?
evening as it were.
Mm.
When people call into this radio show and ask, "Hey Tom, how are you doing?" He asks, "Do you care?" And so I was like, which is kind of a fair answer. Me, I go to the. I sometimes like this happened. It does happen one time. I was running into moods like I was busy. It was like stressed. It's just like, oh god, several things are done now. It's just like, and my former like manager, as it were, it's like, Jonathan, how you doing? It's like, do you really want to know, or are you just here to create small talk? As it were. I'm just creating small talk. So I was like, okay, and I'm fine. I don't know what it is, but I now that the habit is like when people ask, how are you doing? It's like, do you want the real answer or just creating small talk? Is where it's just like, get it out there. Most of them actually do want to hear the honest answer. Or now I'm just going to say, it's like, how am I doing? My friends are suffering and being crushed under capitalism, and I'm dealing with that.
Reminds me of a conversation somebody once related. You know, he was working in the military. His commanding officer walked in and said, "Hey, how you doing?" "Not much. What's up with you?" "Fine, thanks."
Of course, we all know what FINE stands for. FINE stands for fucked up, insecure, neurotic, and emotional.
I think it was sometime around high school. I'd watched Monty Python the Grail too many times, picked up too many easily repeatable phrases, which I wish somebody had explained to me years and years ago and pointed out that, hey, Tavi, you use repeated scripted phrases a lot more than a lot of your peers do as a coping
Yeah,
mechanism.
it's echolalia.
Yeah. There's a lot of things I wish I knew when I was in high school.
Okay, I gotta look up something now again.
But then again, my parents probably would have put me in an ABA program, and that would have.
Oh yeah.
I just started after getting a lot of shit for actually giving honest answers to the "Hey, how are you?" question. I just started answering with "I'm not dead yet," quoting the guy who doesn't want to go on the cart.
I'm not dead.
What?
I'm not dead yet.
That's like here's your 3 pence.
My stock
don't want
answer
to
now
go on
is
the cart.
7.
I feel happy.
I think I can go for a walk. No, you're not. You're gonna be stone dead in a minute.
And my stock answer to "Have a nice day" is "Do my darndest."
There's probably a lot in that scene to unwrap about elder abuse and such.
Oh yes.
Have you guys seen Daria before?
The TV show? I'm
The
familiar with
TV
it.
show?
I think I identify with her character a lot.
Oh, a lot of people do. It's
very relatable. I think I need to watch more of it as well. I know that like some of the later shows or seasons of it is not as good, but there's always like a nice heart to it as it were too. But like I like Daria's like just like pessimism at the whole thing as it were, because like a guy would be like hitting on her and her friend, and it's like, where have you ladies been all of my life? It's like, we are here. We were born here. We grew up here. We gestated here, all so that you can be here, and then we be in your presence, as it were. That kind of like snark answer as it were. I love her snark as it were.
She was very much, you know, a 90s girl.
Yes, that reminds me of the Indie User Studios that did like a COVID, as it were. These kind of like short little things that like he would like do, but like not part of his like main series, as it were. But like because Daria is getting basically kind of like a reboot, and he has this like It seems
A
pretty
darker,
similar.
edgier live action reboot with werewolves.
No, it's going to be a cartoon version with millennials, as it were, and it's like there's now the other character's now the main character, as it were. But like he kind of like just went off and just like reflected on like, were you are nostalgic for the '90s? Why?
Mhm.
I
It's
mean,
been 30 years. And back then, the economy was actually doing okay, and people could find jobs if they were white.
There were some good video games that came out in the 90s. That's about all I can
Half-Life
say.
started then.
What started then?
Half-Life,
Half-Life.
which is a video game series that turned into a content platform and stopped.
Yes,
Yeah,
Mel.
I don't get it, because also that's where we got all these shitty, like, criminal. I mean, I don't know how people, like, as a '90s person, I understand like the nostalgia, but I don't.
It's basically whenever you grew up is when you feel nostalgic for it. When you were a
Yeah,
teen,
I
it was a
don't know.
perfect time.
Yeah, I mean, and don't get me wrong, my mom was alive and she took
They
care
say
of
that
me.
on average. It doesn't mean it's necessarily true.
Mm.
Because I am not
You know?
nostalgic for like the 80s and 90s. I am not.
Mhm.
I just like some of the video games that came out in those decades. That's about it.
I mean, I guess maybe if you're white and you were rich,
Yeah.
upper class,
Yeah.
maybe then. But
Like I
I mean,
said,
like,
the economy was booming for white people. We had our first black president.
The '90s was that period after the end of the Cold War, because like the Soviet Union collapsed, so there was no more communism, yet there was still China, but China was like reforming.
China, Vietnam, Cuba,
Yeah, but they were all
Oh,
not.
Cuba's never been
yeah.
allowed to do anything. Cuba is still
Oh yeah, embargo to
crushed.
hell. Yeah, exactly. The '90s was also before the war on terror, as it were, because like the second September 11th did not happen yet, as it were. Again, the first September 11th was September 11th, 1973, the coup that like ousted Salvador Allende in Chile, as it were, and got Augustus Pinochet appointed to them, and the CIA played a heavy part in that too, as well as the Chicago Boys, like setting the neoliberals and economic policies for like Chile, which crashes the economy and then improves slightly after the crash, as were. But that's part of the reason why a lot of people are like nostalgic for the '90s, as were, and because like it was that period where it's just like, hey, everything's like fine, okay. The end of history, as like Francis Fukuyama said at the end of the Cold War, as it were, and it's just.
A lot of people I follow, like a lot of like Twitch people who are like famous now, were born in the '90s.
But the thing is also, it's just like, as you pointed out that video, so like there was shit happening in the '90s still. The first Desert Storm, and like a lot of things in the Middle East, and like the economy was also
Crisis was ongoing.
Bosnia.
a lot of and a lot of like again the criminal justices were the like tough on crime and the 1994
But
crime
we had the
bill.
Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and The Simpsons were still good.
Yeah, so it's just like
Everybody was wearing really awesome hats.
even the music was like a pretty decent. Even the
Kurt
music,
Cobain was still alive.
yeah, until he wasn't.
A lot of the grunge stuff, like I like Bjork and all of that.
Everybody was able to wear like 2 or 3 shirts, and one of them was a really comfy flannel.
Oh yes, that's right. People were allowed to wear flannel because it somehow become fashionable thanks to Kurt Cobain, because like he just wears what he wants.
White guys were allowed to wear puka shell necklaces.
I don't see, but that's the thing. When you talk to nice hat, Tavi.
It's because John.
Hey, 4 non-blondes just walked into the chat.
Four non-blondes. Wait, did the 4 non-blondes wore that kind of hat before?
No, it's the only band that came to mind.
But hey, Tavi would say, I said, hey.
Hey.
What's going
I say woo.
I cannot think of that song without thinking of the He-Man version.
Hi there, I'm Adam, Prince of Eternia. I live here, and this is Snugglepuss. He's a good cat, and I get transformed with magical powers, but I hollow off this magical sword, and I sing, and then starts the song.
How do people even look at that cartoon and think it's a straight people thing?
Well, he's big and strong, and
I
he
think-
carries a giant phallic symbol, and he uses it to fight other
when you're a
phallic
kid,
symbols.
you don't really notice anything like that. So
Right.
whoever it
Well,
was,
I mean,
who,
let's
like,
be honest. The '80s was super gay in a lot of ways.
But I
Of
think
the homoerotic fascism variety.
yeah, it was.
it's, or the homoerotics and then all those 80 movies.
Well,
Like,
I think
God.
you have to kind of give it to them that while everything was hidden, it was
Mhm.
still out in the open.
Mhm.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
Top Gun.
it was like it wasn't. They weren't advertising something as homoerotic, but they made everything homoerotic at the same time.
Yes. It's.
They were definitely presaging the ball tanning thing.
I mean, as was explained in one article I was reading at one point that was explaining how some of the imagery in He-Man was evocative of, particularly like Skeletor was evocative of stuff to do with the AIDS crisis, etc. Pointed out that ages ago since I read this article, so I don't remember where I found it, but the quote was, I don't know any straight people who have fabulous secret powers who just suddenly go whipping out a sword and then all their clothes come off and suddenly they're wearing a leather harness. Other bed.
And yeah,
They were
right along with
aping
other
the
men.
'70s imagery, which was all about S&M. So,
I mean, Rob, the look for like heavy metal in the 80s from like Judas Priest, and Rob Halbert said, I just went to a S&M shop to like buy all the gear for the band Judas Priest to like wear. That's where I got it. And then seeing the straight people like imitated this, where it's just like, you're all wearing S&M gear. You realize that, right?
if you haven't watched it, go watch Peacemaker, the TV show. It's on HBO, so you're gonna have to don't ever go to someplace like Activid.com and watch it illegally. That'd be wrong. But it is a fantastic show. And in the opening episode, he's going through a random hookups literal record collection. Says, "Oh yeah, this is my jam." You know, back then men were men because they weren't afraid to be women. No, that is James Gunn in a nutshell, deconstructing toxic masculinity.
My friend, just want you to know that if you want to be girl, it's okay to just be girl.
I mean, the thing is, it was John Cena's idea to make the character be bisexual.
Yeah.
The bisexual son of a white supremacist supervillain.
Nice.
Yeah.
Limpy has like I'm sorry for ignoring the chat, but like I have been like noticing in the chat of like, yeah, Limpy said like too young to recognize gay, but I love Limpy. You had made an excellent term for like the gay 80s, gaydies.
Oh, also just since the topic kind of came up,
Mm-hmm.
can we a pain in the butt about an annual controversy that comes? I don't know if it's come up because I haven't paid attention to Twitter.
I haven't
When are
noticed.
we going to have
discourse
white or straight Pride Month?
I'm just going to say
that noise.
kink belongs at Pride.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Also,
And cops do
anybody
not.
who tries to use the existence of, ace people to say
Ace.
kink doesn't belong at Pride, fuck you.
Yes.
Kink belongs at Pride. Cops and corporations do not. Notice that one starts with a K, the other two start with C. That's how you differentiate them.
Yeah, cops don't believe in, stuff like
Human rights.
Informed consent.
Yes.
It's still legal most places for them to, quote unquote, have sex with a person in their custody. It would be really easy to analyze the Top Gun volleyball scene from a fascist mindset. It's a celebration of the male form in an athletic competitive context.
Mm-hmm. It's like
it's the masculine ideal being strong and athletic, and definitely not queer.
Yes, exactly. Tavi, that hat it kind of reminds me of like some of the Pokemon characters that you can like get in like the as a default as it were. So that's where my mind went. And
Friends
that's sort of
season 3.
that's it. But
So I look like a Pokemon trainer now?
yes, exactly. That started in the '90s too. Yeah, yes. Some good things from the '90s Pokemon, as it were.
Can confirm the Wolf is a 90s kid.
Is
I was born in the 80s, so I'm kind of
Your Trapper Keeper. Did you fight really hard to get one of the what's her name, Lisa something Trapper Keepers with all the really bright colors?
What?
Oh my god, the Trapper Keepers. Yeah, I do remember those. Oh, they're just binders.
Let me see if I can.
They're just binders, but they're fancy binders. Essentially, it's a brand name, as it were. And so, yeah.
There's
Lisa
like a lot
Frank?
of stuff that was apparently like super popular during the 90s that
Google Lisa Frank Trapper Keeper. I think that'll do it.
I was just getting into NES games when like everybody around me had Super Nintendos and Segas and PlayStations.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed Junie B. Jones. You know who that is?
No.
The Junie B. Jones books, I think. Okay.
No, I'm not familiar with those actually. There was like some popular like book series of the '90s as well.
The only Keely Jones I know is from Ted Lasso.
I think Goosebumps started in the '90s. Now that I remember.
Yep, R.L. Stein.
Yeah.
Don't ever laugh as the hearse goes by. For you,
when it comes to
the
nostalgia,
next to die. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's one thing, but it's time to move on to like different shit.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the nostalgia thing is easy for Hollywood because, like, known property or known fan base, as it were. So this thing is a safe bet, as it were. They're always looking for the safe bet because, like, they want the guaranteed return on investment, as it were. So they
don't have to put in any effort. They don't have to try to make it good.
Gives them an excuse to renew copyright.
Also, too,
yeah.
I feel like too, like if you look at nostalgia broken down like on a race and like economical prospect, it's usually people of. I feel like people of color and poor people are the least cool about nostalgia.
Yeah, which is part of my point is it was like it was mostly white people who was nostalgic for the '90s because like they were comfortable as it were and could ignore like other issues that were going on at the time.
They weren't the ones being targeted as super predators.
Yes, that's right. Hillary Clinton did said that about black people. They're super predators as well, or black teenagers specifically, black male teenagers.
Well, it's like so. I think IHOP, the Pancake House, IHOP, they wanted to like do like a '50s day or something, and then
again, white people nostalgia.
Hughley like really like called them out on it and said, well, for a lot of black people in the '50s, they couldn't even go into a IHOP or whatever. So I'll take my like $10 pancakes with progress. So.
I mean, because like those like '50s diners, that was kind of like popular in the '80s too. But it was '80s looking back at the '50s essentially, and it's just like ignoring all of like the segregation and racism in the '50s, as well as like for people in the '50s, it's like no, it was a fucking scary time because the Cold War was ramping up. That's part of why Dr. Strangelove got made specifically at that time, or like the early '60s, as were, because that was when a lot of paranoia was like happening about nukes dropping as were. So Dr. Strangelove made dark comedy about that, which is still probably yes. I can understand John from why you say that like that Stanley Kubrick was born and immediately crawled to his ass.
Crawled up his own ass and stayed there the rest of his life.
Right. Dr. Strangelove is still a good movie though, because like the cowboy that was riding on that nuke as it drove by, so like Slim Pickens, I think it's his name as the actor, he showed up in the cowboy hat for the audition, as it were, and Stanley Kubrick just like thought, oh, you'd be good as like the captain of the plane, as it were, and Slim Pickens thought it was a straight serious drama. Did not realize it was dark comedy at all. Makes sense for the pilot scenes, as it were, because there wasn't any lines like, gentlemen, you can't fight it here. This is a war room. or lines like Or like the lines that officer's like, okay, but you can't get the president on the phone. You have to answer to the Coca-Cola company as it were. But none of those lines were in the scenes in the plane, so Slim Pickens thought it was like a straight movie, and Stanley Kubrick did not tell him otherwise, which is a brilliant direction, and that part was a brilliant direction in his part as well. And so yeah, and that's just part of the comedy as it were, because like parts of it was like played for straight, or it like they were played for straight. It was just the lines that were funny, and the Dr. Strangelove could only be made at that time where we're so paranoid, that sort of thing, because it can be it's just simple as like
well, they did have to delay the release for a little bit.
Yeah,
because it was scheduled for release right after the Kennedy assassination.
Oh yeah, so
they had to go back and re-record the line where the president is down, he's been hit during the fight.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, after the 2nd September 11th, there's a lot of movies that were just delayed just because like probably not a good time to like watch like a movie with a lot of explosions of collateral damage. That terrible like Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. I'm not sure it's terrible as or like after Columbine or the movie, I forgot what was that movie, but it was basically or something like that. It was like Othello in high school with like Josh Hartnett. That's where, and I forgot the other actors as well. That got
Julia Stiles and a black guy.
I forgot the black guy's name, unfortunately. That shows me as a white person forgetting a black person's name. But that movie got significantly delayed because like that film showed a school shooting as it were, and so not after Columbine as it were. Unfortunately, no.
We're going to delay movies, but we won't do anything about gun control. Yeah, that's white America.
Yeah.
Can I say something right quick before I guess we beat this up? I was on like Instagram the other day, and I was following this person that turned 26, and they went to Hawaii for their 26th birthday. This is a Twitch streamer, all that, probably makes money off her body or whatever, which is okay. And then I said it must be nice to be rich and have rich parents. Was I in the wrong for saying that?
Not really. I mean, it's. You are kind of yucking someone's yum, but it's a mixed thing, I think.
I think at the end of the day, honestly, it's like we can't. I mean, being jealous doesn't really help anyone.
No, but it's hard to say.
Yeah. Well,
if they never ever acknowledge their privilege, then go ahead and call them on it.
I mean, if you're 26 and you go to Hawaii, I mean, don't get me like I've worked minimum wage jobs before. I mean, I got to go to San Francisco one time, but I don't know.
But that's definitely like someone who like grew like someone that like I said this were look at someone's dating profile. I'm 26 and loves to travel. If you're that young and love to travel, congratulations, you grew up rich because your family was able to afford to travel like every year for summer vacation to like places like Hawaii.
Or at least privileged in some way. It's not necessarily rich. Like my dad traveled as part of his work, and so I traveled the world. But I went with my dad, who was working at the time. It's not like, we were taking vacations and going on, lavish journeys.
And to be able to get a job that allows you to do that is another kind of privilege.
My dad like works for Boeing, still does, and like for his job he traveled to like Japan, to Germany, but sometimes he would travel down to like California, and it's work. It's like sometimes he gets like a hour or two to like check out the sites as well, but it's not like the company flies him down on the company's dime so they can go to Disneyland as well. We did go into Disneyland as a family vacation, but that was an actual family vacation.
I just wish sometimes people would just say you got privileges and let other people, like, I don't know.
But also,
actually, no. I'm gonna go back and reverse what I said. It is good to call them out on that, because that Insta lifestyle, they're providing sort of a false lifestyle in order to project that image of wealth and luxury to be the aspirational thing that you want to live. That's what the Insta influencer is for. Yeah. So go ahead and call them.
It's to say, you have a shit job or you're lazy or whatever, you should do what I do because this is the reward I get for. And again, like I
I
don't know
mean,
how
if it's
much
just
people
like
make
some
on.
random chick with like 5 followers, maybe don't. But if it's a big Insta person with, hundreds of thousands of followers, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
as like any like big Twitch streamer trying to pull the whole oh well you should just be like me thing. I started streaming at one point in 2016. I streamed off and on for like several years, and like 2014 was when I started having chronic pain badly enough to make me completely not even really sure. This when a lot of my like chronic pain issues started. 2014 2016 was when I was put on morphine, and that made things hell. It is not that easy to just go and make money as a Twitch streamer.
No.
Yeah, it's only like a fraction of a percent you're even able to do it.
Yeah.
It's a lot of luck. It's a combination of a lot of luck and going at it from a like chronic pain disability perspective. I couldn't physically keep up with it. Never mind like the culture, and there is I will just say there's a lot of culture of internal cultures of bullying and abuse that go on that make it very stressful. Not just the mass hate raids thing. That was a whole huge fucking thing.
Yeah, I remember that. I was just thinking about that.
But even within the communities you think are the better communities, there's a lot of people tearing each other down, spreading bullshit rumors about each other. Even like among the groups that call themselves anarchist or something, there's a lot of everybody trying to be the big celebrity by attacking everybody else.
Yeah, remember the OK Boomer girl, that girl that made that video?
The dancing girl?
No idea.
Yeah.
No idea.
Yeah, well, yeah, so she's like, she's an attractive, she's not white, but she's like
ambiguously ethnic.
Yes. And so she made this video about, about Bernie Sanders, and she said okay Boomer, and then she turned around and bought like a $2 million apartment in New York City, and I'm like, and she roundly got roasted for it, but I'm like, they're kind of right though. I mean, you did buy a fucking $1 million apartment.
There is a thing where what was his name?
Hassan Sabine. There was like a big Twitch streamer like Hassan Sabine, I think, because like it was like he was self-identified as a socialist, and one of these the big giant like leftist like Twitch streamers as were, and maybe he is a socialist, but he bought a $2 million house in like Los Angeles as were, and there was a whole discourse about like, is it okay for a socialist to buy a $2 million like house? And it's just like, I personally wouldn't, because I
would probably even be a little bit more conservative than that. I don't think it is, because and hold on, because people when I say this stuff, they'll then say, oh well, you can buy like all your Star Trek stuff. It's like, well, no, because I get that from eBay mostly, so it's mostly from secondhand sellers, and then two, these things they don't cost a lot of money, and I also bought them over time. I didn't just, it's like, no, I wouldn't buy a $2 million apartment, because that would be kind of
antithetical. And these are like $5 things to give you some small amount of joy in the bleak hellscape that is capitalism. It's not a $2 million home.
Right. Like I want a good sized apartment that's not $2 million, obviously. That I
if I could buy a house, I would. It wouldn't be $2 million.
Right. I just want a big enough place where I have better lighting. I could set up all my stuff, my build stuff. Have a nice job doing some video work at some place in town, a good car, so I can go to the beach every now and then. Like, I just want it simple, and I don't think that's forbidden under socialism. I don't think.
No, that's what socialism would give you.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not a car. It would give you massively funded infrastructure.
Well, I can get a car myself. Like, the only reason why I'm getting a car, and I mentioned this in the Ask Way. it's because a friend of mine who's autistic and I guess inherently wealthy because she was born into wealth gave me $5,000 for a car. That's the only reason why I'm getting a car, because I need to get a better job. So at the end of the day, I just gotta accept that there's just people who are just in better circumstances, and there's people who are autistic who are in worse circumstances. Phoenix, for example, you know. So I don't know. It's Instagram. It's toxic. It's not really good for you.
The internet is bad for you.
If I didn't have my artwork and stuff, I probably wouldn't have an Instagram. I probably wouldn't have one if I didn't have
the
my
internet would be a
artwork.
such better place if we had just restricted it to white people in universities.
Yeah.
I could go on about like Twitch as a word because like there's a lot to that. We've discussed this many times before, and I can bring it up again. And oh yeah, that's right. So Twitch is doing that thing. We'll discuss that like next episode. Just have to remember to do so because we're at over the 90-minute mark. But there's like a couple of final things I want to mention. Let's end on some good news. Joey, you reminded me on like your Facebook like yesterday or the other day. It's a day of celebration because it was General Custer's death day. Right?
Yep, absolutely. It was the anniversary of the Victory Day, the Battle of Greasy Grass.
Greasy Grass.
A lot of that history I still get.
Is it because of all the mayo? Sometimes I'm proud of myself. What can I say?
Those male sapiens that died that day got into the grass and soaked into this because like the worms started eating all those mayonnaise, and that's how the grass got greasy there. Or they all died and their male sapien business like spread out on the grass.
Yeah, the Indians spilled a lot of mayo there.
I think that's a good way to like bookend the whole thing because we talked there was the shit happening in like South Dakota of like that like hotel banning Native Americans, and it's just like, do you know why the state is called South Dakota? Do you know why? White people. And land back, the Duma Wash still like trying to get federally recognized as we're close out the show. Isaiah Taylor has his own like YouTube channel, Sinister Intelligence. He regularly is posting new YouTube videos like each and every week, so there's new content for you to check out too. Joey Fire Lame Deer does have a Patreon, so if you they have not done anything with it like yet, as it were, but if you like to give them money as it were, you can do so. I should be able to find your Patreon, and I'll post the link to the Patreon like there for future, for when you eventually get around to like rewriting stuff as it were. You can check out Joey Fire Lame Deer's Patreon as it were in right there. You have a Twitch channel.
I'm not promoting anything right now. I am hiding from all of the shit in certain social circles that I don't want to deal with in a whole bunch of different D&D groups that nobody else has access to.
Oh, okay.
I've been playing a lot of D&D and trying to put a lot of work into just taking care of myself and getting on top of some life stuff, so I'm not really promoting anything right now.
I was like asking about my causes that you were thinking of promoting too, but if nothing comes to mind,
I usually do at the moment. My brain is just I managed to come say hi.
Hello. You're not dead yet. I'm glad you're not dead because the wolf is hard to kill.
That's a question right quick before we end the stream.
Yes.
Do you guys think I add stuff to the stream whenever I come on?
Absolutely.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's always like cool to hear your perspective. I mean, sorry, you were asking if like it was wrong of you to say like, okay, privileged white person, like great for you to go on vacation. That added that was a topic that we all discussed it, and like it added to the conversation. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Hey, it's good to.
I just think that there's a lot of people who I guess would call themselves liberal white. Although a lot of black people do this too. It's not just white folks. who like to talk about how much they care about social causes or they want socialism, but then it's like, they buy like a $2 million house. Like it's like, were you a socialist just because you couldn't afford those things once before, and you decided to be a socialist just to piss off the establishment, or were you just a capitalist all along? Like, I don't know. I just think there's a lot of people who like to say they're socialist, and then because they just say it because they wanna like piss people off when they say it, and then when they become like rich or something, spontaneously they're like, oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah, there's many accusations that like right like non-socialists will give to like socialists or even me is like, all right, you're a socialist then, go off and like start a co-op or work for a co-op then, and it's just like, oh, you're a small business owner. How about you turn your small business into a co-op? How about that? But anyway, but that person wants to like turn his small business into an enterprise, and then he eventually blocked me because I said capitalism decay is fascism. Blah. Long story. We don't need to talk about it, discuss it. We can discuss the ideas and not the person itself. Blah blah. I'm Summer Geek. I have a Twitch channel on twitch.tv/Summer Geek. I have a YouTube channel, youtube.com/c/Summer Geek. There's a video I've been meaning to finally release and upload in public. Abolish restaurants, because like I talked about before, and that should be really interesting, like a video essay that I read, and I'm going to put some font of it on my YouTube channel. I don't know when I'll go back to the Twitch stream. I'm still working like 60, 62, 63-hour weeks as we're. And I'm going to go to work like after we finish up here.
Yeah,
I'm gonna take a nap and I'm gonna clean my room and shit.
I should not work myself so hard because you did that before.
Yeah, I did, and guess how I ended up?
With a broken body. I tried not to work too.
I'm just no, but also just.
Oh, okay. You're showing up. You're showing.
Oh, showing off the walking stick, not hitting him with it.
So you weren't bonking me, as it were. And I agree, David Scott. That's socialist is not an individual endeavor. Oh yeah, and that's right, David Scott. Happy birthday! You had a birthday not too long ago. You're
okay.
Old.
Before we leave, I just got to show this fragile masculinity here. You'll see it on the stream soon enough. I mean, the people watching can see it already. It's at a donut shop. It says, "The Bro Nut, snack like a man." And there it is. It's on the screen.
So they want to eat nuts. You want to eat nuts. Eat bro nuts. Like a man, you will eat nuts.
I don't understand the gendering of food.
Yeah, I don't understand that either.
I don't know. Blame it on the French and Spanish. But it goes back to the Romans. Probably.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if they...
And remember, yes, even Europe was like colonized and imperialized by the Romans
and the Greeks. The Greeks were colonists too.
Yeah, definitely.
Colonizers, I should say.
It's and everyone in live chat. There was a lot of good discussions and conversation happening because like.
And now I'm waiting for a white person to jump in and say Africa colonized the rest of the world.
Oh, fuck that person. I'm friends.
I never actually heard anyone say that apart from Richard Dawkins.
No, I have heard a white person said like white people were enslaved in the past before, and it's just like.
Richard Dawkins actually likes to say we are all Africans because we all came from Africa. He was literally a colonial imperialist in Africa.
I know, right? I was just gonna say he was literally a little imperialist baby.
He was the kid in Rikki Tikki Tavi, but in Africa. I mean,
well, people like to say Elon Musk is like an African American, which
I would like to stab those people in the face with a frozen fish.
I know, right?
It's, I mean, it's yes, because like there are white people in South Africa, as it were, as well as there's like white people in like in Latin America as well. And I just remember the news that like the intern president of Bolivia, Allende, that like after the coup in Bolivia in 2001, she 2019, no, she's on trial now, or she's get like crimes of humanity being filed against her as well. So, because yeah, that's good news. That is some good news.
Good. Obviously, not the U.S. is doing.
Yeah, right. They just were back into the things that happened there. Blah. So, okay, finally finishing up with some pictures. John Brockman, you're part of another podcast, aren't you?
Yes, Dungeons and Debacles, D&D podcast. We are saving the world from an evil red dragon cult. We haven't done a new recording in like a month because circumstances have thing, and I think I've forgotten the entire campaign now.
Sorry.
But yes, a lot of fun, very different. Well, not actually all that different from this because I'm on there, but yeah, a lot of fun. Dungeons and Debacles.
Mm-hmm. And of course, Cherry links that page down below, links to theirs, and also give Joanna Roberts like money, or share around her like her Big and Bowl, or her like her PayPal and Cash App links, and of course like give Phoenix money too, or at the very least share around their GoFundMe too as well.
And don't forget to check out Isaiah's Instagram, where you can see all of his incredibly awesome Star Trek stuff.
Yes, and model work that he does.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And
right.
Apparently Isaiah now refers to Isaiah in the third person.
That's fine. I know some people that like have strangely enough in conversations would decide to like speak to themselves in third person as were. Yeah.
I've gotten to the point where like if I'm speaking more formally, like now I get myself to do I and me. There's a lot of times where it's just like, I don't know why, it just becomes hard to not slip into third person.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird.
Brains. What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Brains, yeah. I don't know. We don't eat them though, and we're not mind flayers either. So thank you everyone for coming and watching. What the hell are you doing this? We forgot to thank our patrons. Thank you.
Let's see, Joe and Ailey and Tim and Von Rek and the Fuckboys and Flora.
And Marty. There we go.
I was doing that off memory. I'm proud I got all but one.
Yes. Don't forget to
I'm gonna go
hydrate.
take a nap, and then I'm gonna
Practice self-care, everybody. Hydrate, medicate, take a nap.
Be safe.
And happy
comrades.
And happy Pride, because like the first Pride was a riot against the cops.
Mm-hmm.
Happy Pride, everyone. Next
Bye-bye.
month's draft.